Let's play Two Truths and a Lie about prayer. Welcome back. I'm Gila Ross, host of the Power Up podcast, where we share short, relatable ideas that impact and upgrade our modern day lives. And in this episode, I chat with Sari from That Jewish Moment about prayer.
That we're on to a winner with this one. Here she is. Hello. Hi, Sari. How are you?
Hello. I was gonna say good morning, but you're up to something else in England, are you not?
We are. Morning was a long time ago.
I can imagine.
It feels like it's a long time ago. But those days where you're not quite sure, morning, afternoon, what are we? So I'll take good morning, right?
I say good morning to everybody, like in the afternoon. Saying good afternoon to people just feels too formal. So I'll be like, oh, hey, good morning. And it's like 4 o'clock, you know?
And then they look at you like, you okay? And you're like, yeah, kind of. Just really, really tired.
Who says good evening, or good night? I'm just a good morning person, no matter what time it is.
Are you a morning person?
I think I am. I am. I like early morning and then really late at night. But in between is, I'm not necessarily a person.
I saw a meme once which said, and we're going to get going in a second. I'm not a morning, but I'm not a morning bird or an evening owl. I'm a perpetually exhausted pigeon, and I feel like that kind of that pinned me. All right, so firstly, I'm so excited. I know we've been like backwards and forwards a little bit about this. I'm excited we're finally getting to do it because I can't wait to hear a little bit more about what you do and about your stuff. So let's just jump right into it. So I know that you were going to start off with two truths and a lie. So throw them
It's one
at
of my
me.
favorite. I don't even see it as a game. I see it as just a way of life. Like my husband and I often at dinner will say, okay, let's do two truths and a lie from our day, and we'll be like, okay, these three things happened on the subway today, and only two of them happened. So I have two truths and a lie.
Hold on a second. Before you start, should we open it up to everyone and let everyone else guess as well? So maybe we should do like 1, 2, 3, and then let people try and guess in the comments what number is the lie.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Let's do that.
I'm going to share three stories about me specifically relating to prayer. Okay. So when I was in second grade, I participated in a national bee where we had to say the bracha, the blessing before and after foods, and I was the runner-up. Okay, so number one, I was the runner-up of a national bracha bee. Number two is I was in fifth grade, and during prayer in the morning, I got into trouble because I got the giggles and could not stop. And number three is when I was 12 years old. When I turned 12 for my bat mitzvah, I received a silver-plated siddur, a prayer book, and I used it every single day until I lost it in a hotel one day and have never seen it since.
That's tough. Okay, people, let's vote in the comments which one it is because I'm not sure. I'm kind of part of me feels like maybe number one wasn't so true, and part of me feels like number three wasn't so true. Anyone wants to? Yes, it is a tough. Jessica, you're right. It is tough. Two. Oh, it could be. I felt there was a lot.
I'll just to tell you, the lie is totally a lie. Like I made up every detail. The other two are totally true.
I'm gonna go with number three then.
Yes, number three is the lie.
Right.
I have never received a silver-plated, not yet. So, all you gift givers out there, I'm open to it. Definitely open to it.
Guess what you're gonna get in the mail tomorrow.
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna throw my two truths and a lie out at you, and let's see if you can get them. They're not as carefully curated as them. Okay, so number one is I have toured about 80% of the world. Number two is I once ran a half marathon while I was about 25 weeks pregnant. And number three is I got engaged 4 days after I met my husband.
Oh boy. What do you mean about the 80%? What does that mean?
Are you allowed to ask questions? I'm not
Oh,
sure that's part of the
everybody.
rules.
In our family, you're allowed to grill. So,
Oh, really?
yes, and that's the fun part, coming up with all these lies about our lie.
Oh, I feel like I would not, I feel like I would flounder under the pressure in your house.
Okay, well, okay, 80% of the world. I'm not sure what that means, but I could see the marathon happening. I'm gonna go with number three, not 4 days.
So actually, number one is the lie. So
Oh,
we lived in Israel and in UK and in Canada, a couple of different places in Canada, and we've toured across America, but I haven't done any of the Australia and the Southeast Asia. So yes, Jessica is correct. You are that was a lie. I have not toured 80%. Hopefully, I don't know. One day I will be able to, but for now, not. All right. So I know that you just brought out a book, a workbook. It's called My Davening Diary, which really, really intrigued me because I think prayer, and I put this up on my stories. There we go.
I always have one nearby,
For times like this or any time, right?
anytime.
Um, when interestingly enough, when I put it up on prayer is one of the hard things. As a mom, I find like prayer is kind of hard to teach kids, and I was very curious when I put this up as to what the response was. But I got a load of questions in my stories, and I know we're not going to have time to cover it, so I'm going to go in my stories later on and answer the questions that we don't get a chance to cover it. But let me hear from you, two truths and a lie about prayer.
Okay. Um, First, I'll say though that I don't see myself as I like to say, a sage on the stage. I'm not an expert on prayer at all. Rather, I see myself as a guide on the side. And I use the practices and methods that I've used in my own education and also personally in my own prayer. So, excuse me, sorry, I still got my morning voice. So that's kind of my premise before saying what I know about prayer, because I'm definitely no prayer expert. But this is what I believe in and what I see to be true, with in my students. So I would say my two truths and a lie, and I'll mix them up about prayers. Number one, and in the comments you have to guess which one you think is a lie for me. Number one is that there's so much room for creativity and imagination within formal prayer. So that's number one. So much room for creativity and imagination within formal prayer. Number two is that a good way to know God is to know yourself.
Mhm.
And number three is, if you want to keep prayer fresh and exciting for you, change up every day what you are saying. So those are the three statements. Again, there's so much room for creativity and imagination within prayer. Number two is to know God, get to know yourself. And number three is change up what you're saying in prayer to keep it fresh and exciting.
Those are good ones, really, really good ones. And I think I'm going to use your family rules about this game. I'm going to grill you on them.
Spinning the tables. Okay.
Yes, I feel like armed and ready now, right? And I never knew you could do this with this game. So let's okay. While people who are listening and watching put in the comments what number it is, I'm gonna grill you a little bit. Number one, you said, remind me what it was. It was there's so much room for.
Creativity and imagination within formal prayer.
Uh, I don't know. Give me an example of how you can bring creativity. I mean, listen, like give us an example of how you could do that.
So let's just say, and I'm not saying this is true yet. Let's say you are saying a certain prayer and you are standing in either a synagogue, temple, in your home. You don't have to be there necessarily. You can be wherever you put yourself mentally. So you can transform where you are. You could take yourself somewhere else, somewhere that will help you in your concentration and prayer.
Interesting. When you say that, it kind of makes me think because I recently, on my podcast, I did a series on morning mindfulness, which basically I went through the 15 morning blessings that we say in the morning, thanking God. And like, I disclaimer, I grew up religious, right? So I grew up saying all these prayers, and I'm when I was preparing for the podcast, when I was putting it out, it was like, this is amazing. Because yes, there's a simple prayer, for example, about thank you, God, for not making me a slave, right? But you can also think about it like, depends on what's going on in your life. You can actually think to yourself, wow, thank you, God, that I have the ability to rise above whatever's enslaving me in my life. And it's kind of like, I think what I'm getting there from you is that, like, it's almost as though the words and whatever language that someone chooses to pray in, right? Whether you're fluent enough in Hebrew to pray in Hebrew, or if you're not, and whatever language you're comfortable with, there's like layers of meaning. So you can read it, but you can also have that creativity and imagination to actually apply it to your life.
So truth or lie? Truth or lie?
I'm going to go with truth.
Truth. And I love the way you said that. Exactly. There are set words maybe that you are saying in prayer, but what they mean and what they apply to is totally unlimited, where
Right.
you can go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also beautiful how it can like apply to us differently in depending on where we are in our life. Okay, what was number 2 again? I can't remember.
Number 2 is knowing yourself can help you know God.
I'm going to go that one is an untruth.
Really? Because I totally believe in it.
Okay, so
yes.
Blow my mind. Go for it.
I will blow your mind. So actually in my davening diary, there are different questions and prompts to help the readers think about what are your preferences? What makes you say wow in the world? What's a time in your life that you noticed God? What is your favorite way to pray? Different questions about who you are as a person who prays. And the more introspection you can do and the more light bulbs that go off about who you are, the more that really can help you build your relationship with God, because prayer is that two-way street, and it's you getting to know yourself better. It's you getting to know God, and who are you with God, and what relationship do you have, and what connection. So when people are more self-aware, and specifically how it relates to prayer, they can really build and develop and deepen their relationship with God.
Right. Yes, I like what you say, and it's people sometimes ask, like, what's the difference between prophecy and prayer, right? Prophecy is God talking to a human being, whereas prayer is a human being talking to God. And it's kind of like, I think what you're saying is that, like any relationship, I agree with you, Jessica, is deep and well said. Any relationship, the more of ourselves we bring to that relationship, the deeper the relationship is, right? When we, know yourself, and it's the same in our relationship with God. I'm going to grill you again because you gave me permission at the beginning.
I'm ready.
Do you have like a specific example? I don't know if you could give a specific example in your book or something like that you want to share with us.
Yeah, sure. So there actually the beginning is divided into a few sections. The first chapter is knowing myself, and the first page has a bunch of strong points like strengths. I don't know, you might see it backwards, but and it says, what are your greatest strengths? From the words below, circle or highlight the 5 words that describe you best. And let's say you are a humorous person, and let's say you're fearless and self-confident. The next page has you think about how can you connect those? How can those be helpful in prayer? So God has given us each a set of strengths. How can we use those to become better people? And how can we use those even to become better at prayer? So I said an example at the beginning when I had the giggles when I was younger. So maybe it took me time to figure out how to use my sense of humor. And now, as strange as it might sound, I use my sense of humor in my relationship with God all the time. And then later on in the book, there are, the daily questions. It's something I need help with from God today, an area in my life in which I notice God. When we start opening our eyes to God in our lives and who we are and how we benefit from that, it really goes a long way.
Amazing. I love it. Your book sounds absolutely amazing. All right, what was number 3?
The last one was, I said, if you want to keep prayer fresh, change up what you say. And this kind of relates to my first truth. I think there's so much room for creativity, even in the rote and what seems like monotonous. It might seem boring and tedious to say the same things every single day, but that's where there's so much room for growth and creativity, because you are saying the same things every day. How can you put a new spin? When you say Moda'ani in the morning, if you do, thanking God for being alive and waking up, how are you different today than you were yesterday? How can you keep that fresh, even though it's the same exact words? So I don't think we need to change the words. Pray what you pray and say what you say. But how are you different? How is your heart different? How is your mindset different?
Right. And I think also, look, there's two types of prayers, right? There's the formal prayer that, with the same words every single day, and there's an informal prayer where you can talk to God any time of the day. But I think, let's be real, right? There are days where, you feel it and you want to talk to God and you feel that connection. And then there are many other days when you're not. And when you have that text, right, that you can pull open and you have those words, it's kind of like, instead of having to recreate it, you've got those words and you can read through it. And sometimes they spark something, and sometimes they may not, but there's still like the value in it. And like, as you said, I really love what you said. This has been really, really amazing. And you obviously guide on the sides, whatever you want to call it, sage on the stage.
Right.
You've obviously done a lot of work about on prayer, right? And it's beautiful that you're bringing that out and sharing it with all of us, because it's life is busy, life can get tough, and having that connection and having that ability to pray is something that we can really, really hold on to. There's one of the most fascinating things I once heard about prayer was that there was a medical study that was done on people in hospital that were prayed for, and they did a control group of people that were prayed for and people that weren't prayed for. And this was a medical study, this is not a religious study, and they found that the people that were prayed for did better. And they even did, like, the double blind study where the people didn't know that they were being prayed for, so that the placebo effect was ruled out. But it's just amazing how, like, prayer actually works. And besides what you're talking about is like that introspection and the deep work that we can do within ourselves, it's also that connection with the divine. So it's I love that you're bringing it and making it accessible for the people. A couple of questions about your book, if you don't mind. What age is it geared for?
So it's such an interesting question. That's the question I probably get most. And originally, the cover said, a daily journal with prompts and activities to help kids get into a prayer mindset. And I had tens of colleagues review it, people from all backgrounds, educators and clergy members. And they suggested not to write kids. And I actually have had a few adults reach out to me that they've been using it in their own personal prayer. So I had in mind ages 8 to 13, but everything I make, I identify as a like permanently 11-year-old person. Like, I kind of have stopped, my maturity. I am just 11. And all the worksheets, games, activities that I put out there is really it's just me. It's just me putting out what I love, which often reaches, 8 to 13-year-olds. But I have a number of adults who are using it personally, and also high school teachers who plan to use it with their students. So it's for the young at heart. It's an illustrated book with different prompts and activities. So if anyone, wants to see a preview, you can send me a DM and I'll send you a preview of the book to see if it's your type.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Is there anything you wish I would have asked that I didn't?
No, but when you said you were explaining about saying the same things every day, and sometimes we tune out, sometimes we don't. My favorite season, and I haven't been to England yet, so I don't know if you have the same seasons that we do in terms of autumn. Is just so beautiful. And there are times when I'm going on the highway and I only realize at the end, shoot, I forgot to pay attention to the leaves because I love the trees. I really do. And there are some times that I'm on the highway and just like, I'll get to my destination and like, oh, hey, I don't remember driving. How did I get here? Because I'm just so in my head. But when I can pull myself out and kind of refocus, that same highway can be so breathtaking. So that's kind of how I see prayer.
Yep, it's true. It is true. And when we're mindful about it, we can get so much out of it. Thank you so much, Sari.
Gila.
Did this episode resonate with you? I'd love to hear. You can get in touch with me. I'm on Instagram. It's Gila Ross. Thank you for your time, and I wish you a wonderful day. And please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. Thank you.